Making Old Friends by Incidental Pegasus number 5. Chapter 7. A Wonderful Fantasy. Fireside was pacing back and forth in the great hall at the entrance of the place when Cloudkicker approached her. Cloudkicker was able to get out. Hey, so how did... Oh! Before she was cut off by Fireside rushing over and tackling her with a hug. You're alright! Fireside released her grip when Cloudkicker called out a request for some air.
Oh my, I'm sorry. I was just so worried about you. They took off like that. I thought the guards were going to toss you to the dungeon and I'd never see you again.
It might not have been the best decision I ever made, Cloudkicker admitted, but I didn't have time to think of something better. I wasn't just going to let him catch you.
You didn't have to put yourself in harm's way again, though.
Before Cloudkicker could say anything, she continued,
If something happened to you because you were protecting me, I feel just awful.
Cloudkicker raised her hope to brush Fireside's mane from her eyes. But that's what friends do, right? I apologize, but I think we both know I'm not actually going to stop standing up for you. You do the same for me. Fireside could feel the star of a blush creeping to her cheeks.
Friends should stand up for each other, I know, but... Well, would you mind only doing it so dangerously if it's an emergency, please?
Cloudkicker immediately began to eject, but stopped herself. There was just something about the look Fireside was giving her. There was more worry in her friend's eyes, but Fireside was often worried. This was different than usual, though. More serious. If it was bothering Fireside that much, maybe she should try to rein it in. It wouldn't be easy. At times, Cloudkicker could feel her drive to protect those she cared about was more than instinct and conscious thought, though it was instinct that, when she tried to have time to think about it, she decided she was perfectly fine with. But for Fireside? Alright, Fireside. I promise I'll try. Fireside gave a sigh of relief.
Thank you, Cloudkicker.
But enough about me. We're forgetting the most important part. Did it work? Did you have enough time to talk to the princess? What did she say? Does she know what's going on? Fireside told her all about her conversation with Princess Celestia, and the epiphanies he had during it. Well, okay, I guess that means we're going to...
Honestly, Cloudkicker, I was hoping you'd be willing to go back to Ponyville as soon as possible.
Cloudkicker's ears struck flat against the side of her head. Oh, yeah, sure. I could go if you like.
Wait, no, I didn't mean it like that. I just wanted to make sure the team has been keeping on schedule while we'd be gone. Remember what Soren said about Ponyville being in charge of tornado duty this year?
Yeah! Cloudkicker exclaimed. How could I forget? I can't believe headquarters is willing to take a chance on a small town like us. When we pull this off, you'll really make a name for yourself. Fluttershy hoped Cloudkicker wouldn't be upset if she ignored that. She was not at all excited about tornado duty, but didn't want to have a conversation about her worries with Cloudkicker right now, or if she had anything to say about it. Any pony, ever.
If our team missed anything important, we'll have to take care of it right away, before we need to focus everything on the tornado. After all, every pony in Equestria is counting on us.
At this, Fluttershy developed a far-off anxious stare, as though she was staring down some disaster only she could see. She was sure she was going to make a name for herself, but not the way Cloudkicker had meant. She took a few moments to compose herself.
Anyway, everything has to be in order for tornado duty. There isn't any pony I trust with that more than you. I only have one more stop to make, so I get back only a few hours after you. But those hours might be important.
I understand. You can count on me. Any further conversation was interrupted by the clatter of metallic armor, as a pair of Pegasus guards appeared at the top of the stairs. Two of the guards had encountered in the palace gardens.
What do you want?
Fluttershy whispered. Celestia's guards were widely known for their endless stoicism. These two, however, were very visibly annoyed. It would be nice if they weren't so serious, Cloudkicker whispered back. At least Tangerine has a sense of humor about everything. We did get into along, but she was joking she would have caught me without her armor holding her back. Said she wanted a rematch. Well, knowing Cloudkicker, she probably wanted more than that. What? You didn't think I wasn't going to make a life and times winning pony joke in this story? The guards continued to stand silently, giving no hint of the reason for their presence. First I was wondering if it would be a good idea to approach them and ask, when Captain Armor arrived. The pair tried to hide their expressions from their commanding officer, a fact which didn't go unnoticed. At ease, you two, he said, having trouble hiding his own amusement. Heading downstairs, he turned his attention to the mares waiting below. Miss Fluttershy, I'm glad you're still here. I was wondering if I could speak to you for a moment, in private. Fluttershy instinctively backed up a few steps and tried to shrink down. Her head drooped and her ears tucked back.
You? Want to talk to me?
Cloudkicker held her tongue, but drew herself right next to Fluttershy, dripping a wing over her friend's back. Shining Armor chuckled. Don't worry, Miss Clicker. I'm not here to take her into custody or anything. In fact, this has nothing to do with my position at all. I want to talk to Miss Fluttershy about a personal matter, not a professional one. Fluttershy couldn't imagine what kind of personal matter he might want to talk to her about. They all only still just met, and had barely spoken to each other what little time they had spent in each other's company. Still, she didn't see the harm in hearing him out. She nodded her approval. All right, Cloudkicker.
I'll see you back home tonight. Shouldn't be long.
They hugged and said their goodbyes. As Cloudkicker and Fluttershy were parting, Shining Armor dismissed his guards. Miss Kicker, before you go, I wanted to have a word with you about your stunt out in the gardens. Suddenly, Fluttershy was standing between the captain and Cloudkicker, wings spread. She realized, to no pony's surprise greater than her own, she was glaring at him. She had no idea where that came from, or what he intended to do if he pressed the issue. But she was not going to stand by and let him threaten her friend, no matter who he was. Shining Armor was also caught surprised by Fluttershy's accents, although he didn't allow himself to show it. It was not for nothing, after all, that the princesses had entrusted him with the command of their personal guard. Undeterred, he pressed on. While your temperament wasn't exactly what we look for in the guard, your talent is impressive. Are you happy with what you're doing right now? Cloudkicker, who made her way to Fluttershy's side, placed a foreleg over her shoulders, pulled her close.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Well, if you ever change your mind, let me know. I can't promise much at first, but you've got potential. You could advance through ranks very quickly. You could be an officer with your own command in 3 years.
Thank you, Captain. I really appreciate the offer.
It's an honor. Cloudkicker showed over to Shining Armor, shook his hoof. But I'm sorry, I'm going to have to turn you down. I don't think I cut out for military life. Like you said, really isn't in my nature. When Fluttershy and Shining Armor were alone, he headed for the first hallway to the side of the room. Would you mind taking for a bit of a walk? Fluttershy agreed. First of all, let me apologize for the rather zealous way I restrained you earlier. In retrospect, I realize I must have really frightened you. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Captain. But really, I should...
Fluttershy began to apologize for having snuck into the palace gardens, but stopped when Shining Armor waved her off. We could spend all day going back and forth over who's more sorry, and anyway, that's not what I really wanted to talk to you about. They arrived at a room where, after Shining Armor made sure it was unoccupied. I admit, the story you were telling us sounds frankly bizarre, but Princess Celestia trusts you did, so do I. When you were explaining your efforts to, if I'm following this correctly, find certain ponies because you're experiencing memories of some counterpart of yourself, and these ponies are counterpart friends, is that right? Fluttershy nodded. Really? Jeez. Great. But you mentioned that one of the ponies was a unicorn named Twilight Sparkle? Shining Armor paused. It took a minute before he continued. Twilight's my little sister. Upon hearing this, Fluttershy realized why the captain looked so familiar. It must have been the pony she saw in photo of Twilight's. She could be a bit rough around the edges, as the sort you knows, but deep down, her heart's in the right place. It may not seem that way sometimes, but it is. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. It sounds like you got off on the wrong hoof, but it would be good for her to have some pony like you to spend time with. Please, don't give up on her. Fluttershy prowled the aisles of the library of Celestia School for Gifted Unicorns. Twilight Sparkle hadn't been in her room when Fluttershy went back there. Fortunately, Lyra lived on the same floor, and was able to tell her that Twilight spent most of her free time in the library. So Fluttershy had come, determined to find her. Thoughts of her conversation with Shining Armor buoyed her spirits. Perhaps Twilight was not as different from the other one Fluttershy knew as their initial meeting was a success. At any rate, Fluttershy was determined to find Twilight and make her understand she wanted to be friends. If Twilight rejected her offer, so be it, but she was going to try. She found the studious unicorn holed up in a desk in the out-of-the-way corner of the library. Several books laid open before her, with an additional stack off to the side. She was so focused on the pages before her, she had no reaction to the sound of Fluttershy's footsteps.
Excuse me,
Fluttershy asked, but there was no response.
Excuse me, Twilight Sparkle, if I could just...
Without looking up, Twilight waved dismissively with her hoof. Go away, she mumbled, reading. Fluttershy's natural reaction to this was to leave, but she couldn't do that this time. So, in between the promises she made herself and her conversation with Shining Armor, she simply couldn't walk away.
If you really want me to go, I will, but I need to talk to you first.
With a groan, Twilight finally lifted her eyes from her book towards Fluttershy. Ah, Dimensional Traveler returns. Are you here for my help again? Was I not enough of a disappointment last time? Fluttershy refused to let herself be discouraged.
I didn't come here to ask you for help, Twilight.
You're still not expecting me to believe that absurd story, are you?
Well, I wouldn't mind if you did, but no, that's not why I'm here.
Twilight regarded her through narrow eyes. Just why are you here? What could you possibly want from me that's so important? Fluttershy instantly back up and began speaking in a voice so quiet she could barely hear it. She checked herself as she realized what she's doing. No, she couldn't be afraid right now. She owed it to herself and to other Fluttershy to be strong.
I'm sorry about that. I came back to ask you to be my friend.
Twilight sat there barely moving, her jaw slightly agape. For long enough that Fluttershy started to worry about her. Composing herself, she said,
But I don't understand. Why? Because you can be a great friend, even if nobody else seems to remember it. And I know you aren't her. I don't expect you to be. That's why I'd like you to get a chance to know you. I want to be your friend, if you let me.
Twilight sighed. You don't want to get me no better. You think you do, but you'll only find out I'm a failure. First I tried to interject but didn't think that. But Twilight interrupted before she could finish. That's nice for you to say, but that's because you don't know me. I've spent so much time trying to learn as much as I can about magic, and I only know one spell. It isn't even really my spell. I learned it from my big brother, just a weaker version of one of his spells. You said you want to know more about me, Fluttershy? Well, that's all you really know. That's who I am. Fluttershy wasn't so to say. Seeing Twilight sitting there, slumped over, her eyes staring at the floor. She did the only thing she could think of and hugged her. She was pleasantly surprised when she realized Twilight was hugging her back.
I'm sorry, Twilight. I didn't mean to bring up painful memories for you.
It's not you, Fluttershy. For a few moments, neither spoke. Eventually, Fluttershy broke the silence.
May I ask what you're reading?
Twilight hesitated a bit before response. Yeah, sure. In a tone suggesting she would rather not answer, but didn't make a big deal of it. She grabbed the book directly before her with magic. It turned it so Fluttershy could get a look at the title. A Mirror to Ourselves. The Multiverse in Fiction. Looking at the other books, a pattern in Violet Mare's research stood out. Fluttershy allowed hope to swell within her.
Twilight, your research. This isn't a coincidence, is it?
No, Twilight admitted reluctantly. No, it isn't.
Does that mean that... Oh, look. Journal 1, Journal 2, Journal 3.
Fluttershy began to ask her next question, but Twilight forcefully interrupted her before she could get any further. No, like I told you before, I don't believe you. Twilight glanced away from Fluttershy at the floor and blushed, her whole violently scuffing the floor. I think I want to, though. Everything you told me about may be just some fantasy your mind's concocted, she said with a melancholy smile, but it's a wonderful fantasy. After you left, I tried to get back to work, but I couldn't stop thinking about your story. A world where I'm some pony my family could be proud of, where I'm not so alone, but things aren't simply true because you wanted to be. I thought if I did some research, maybe I could find something, anything to convince me it wasn't as crazy as it seems. That's not scientifically sound way to investigate something I know, but turns out it didn't matter. There wasn't anything helpful. The book I'm reading right now is actually literary analysis. Most of the books talk about alternate universes are fiction. There's a few by philosophers too, or scientists speculating on how parallel universes might work, theoretically, if they existed. She permitted herself a small chuckle. There's also a self-help book that used the idea of alternate selves as a metaphor. It wasn't even useful as a self-help book. A lot of the words self-actualized and way too many rhyming catchphrases. I'm digressing, alright. Back to my point. I couldn't find anything about alternate universes existing, let alone them interacting with us like you're saying. I can't make myself believe something because it would be nice if it were true. No pony can. Sorry. First I couldn't help but feel disappointment at the lack of information, but that was hardly Twilight's fault.
You don't need to apologize. I'm grateful you did all that research, whatever your reason was. Thank you.
There was one thing that didn't quite add up, though.
You were still reading when I got here. Does that think you might still find something?
Twilight shook her head. I said the book wasn't useful. I never said it wasn't interesting. Another silence that seemed to last a minute. She continued.
So, I don't want to keep you while you're reading, but you never answered my question. Could you? If that's not such trouble, that is.
Twilight still won't look at Fluttershy. You mean you still... But why? I don't have anything to offer you. Firefly gently placed her hand on Twilight's shoulder, drawing the unicorn's gaze to her.
Yes, you do, Twilight. You have yourself. It doesn't matter you're a magical prodigy. Wanting you to be your friend was never about that. And the other world you don't believe me about. The rest of us were friends with you for several weeks before we even found out.
There's a lot about you I don't really get, Fluttershy. But if you're this determined, Twilight Sparkle's grin shined across her face, then yes! She grins at their outburst. She remembers he was in the library, albeit an isolated, empty corner of one. Sorry! She sheepishly cried on the air, before turning her attention to the Pegasus before her. Sorry. Yes, I'd love to be your friend.
Really? That's wonderful.
Fluttershy said, wings flaring in excitement.
Wish I had time to stay in Caroline and get to know you better. But I need to get back home. Something big's coming up in my job, and everybody's depending on me to see it through. I'll come back and visit as soon as I can.
What do you do? Fluttershy was hesitant to stare the whole truth of her position. Twilight was going to be a friend, though she deserved honesty. Besides, the alternative would be maintaining a long-term friendship without ever mentioning a career.
Well, I'm the weather team manager for Ponyville.
Twilight looked like she intended to say something, but thought better of it. Well, whatever it is you have to do, good luck. We got a break coming up soon, so I might get to visit Ponyville. See you later, Fluttershy.
Good luck, Twilight.
As she was leaving, the steward's voice called back, Fluttershy, I just want to let you know I still think you're crazy. That hasn't changed. Celestia was smiling about it. Fluttershy tried out of the library with an extra spring in her step. She done it. She met up with one of the strange ponies out of Fluttershy's memories and came away with a new friend. He just wouldn't be as hard as she thought. She couldn't wait to get back to Cloudstail and tell Cloudkicker the good news. Although her warnings remained their usual respices at her side, Fluttershy felt like she was walking on air. Fluttershy groaned as the sun steamed through the window, roused from her slumber. She turned over on her side to get back to sleep, but was bothered by something that, in her half-asleep state, she couldn't quite put her hoof on. She pulled the silk seats up and, wait a minute. Silk. She didn't have any silk seats, and the dresser by the walls wasn't her either. This was in her bedroom. Startled, she sprang up in bed. After untangling herself from the sheet, she tried to get her bearings. Now fully awake, she breathed a sigh of relief as she realized there was no reason to panic. She hadn't woken up in a strange place at all. This was Cloudkicker's bedroom. It had been late when she returned to the front care lot the night before. The first thing she had gone was to see Cloudkicker, and make sure nothing had gone wrong with the weather team in their absence. Fortunately, everything had gone fine. With the exception of Cloudkicker burning through all of her favorites with Blossom-Forth, now owning a couple of her own. Fluttershy had just been so exhausted that Cloudkicker suggested she stay there instead of flying home. And so, Fluttershy found herself waking up in Cloudkicker's room. The mare herself had just entered, towel wrapped around her mane. Good morning, Fluttershy. How did your errand go?
Better than expected, actually.
Fluttershy replied. Although, again, considering that this is a Cloudkicker! Twilight Sparkle
Still doesn't believe me, but she was enthusiastic about my offer of friendship.
Cloudkicker frowned. She didn't yell at you again, did she?
Oh no, she was much nicer this time.
Fluttershy recounted her account from the evening before, carefully leaving out the feelings of self-doubt her new friend shared with her. Twilight would surely prefer to be kept secret. It's great, Cloudkicker said as he finished drying the excess water off her coat. Shame she couldn't find anything out, though.
Yeah,
Fluttershy agreed.
with Tornado Dewy coming up, I won't be able to take time off for personal things.
The mention of Tornado Dewy reminded her of a plan she had. As weather manager, she didn't actually need any points approval, but she knew that if enough of her team ejected, it wouldn't matter. It would dampen morale, and might even put excess support into Victoria's jeopardy. Even though she could claim she was bringing in extra playing power to make sure she had enough Pegasi to get the job done, she knew the real reason was more selfish than that. She might never have to justify the decision to any point by herself, but she still couldn't do it. She decided to brush the idea of Cloudkicker first. Even if she wasn't really happy about it, it would never work.
About Cloudkicker. About Tornado Dewy. I was thinking about inviting Rainbow Dash to join us. Do you think I should?
Cloudkicker shrugged. Sure, why not? The more Pegasi we have, the more wing power. Wasn't lying, really, but Fluttershy's feelings of guilt about using her position for her own benefit grew stronger. Cloudkicker believed she had only been asking about what was best for the team, and was just right.
Well, that wasn't really why I was going to ask her.
I kind of thought it might have something to do with it. It was just a matter of worrying. We were going to be Starhoof. I could think of at least 3 Pegasi from around here be fine just as a team. There isn't anything wrong with finding to stick with ponies you feel comfortable around, though. Having another pony on hoof can only help, right?
That's what I'm worried about. Back at Flight Gas, we sometimes had a problem with running ponies the other way. If he starts causing problems with our team, we could lose more wing power than we can replace. The pony says he works with now doesn't seem to like her very much. I'm not saying he's a bad pony.
Fluttershy quickly clarified.
So he was probably having a bad day. Every pony has bad days. I know I do.
Fluttershy, your idea of having a bad day is the time they gave you the wrong kind of tea at Cloudbugs, and you thought you were going back for a replacement but decided not to. Cloudkicker suppressed a chuckle. She knew her friend could be sensitive about her timid nature. Didn't want to think she was making fun of her. But that's not really the same thing.
Well, I'm sure it isn't an easy job. And you work really hard there.
Fluttershy to herself.
But, you didn't really answer my question about Rainbow Dash. You don't mind me saying so. Sorry.
As long as Rainbow Dash understands you're in charge, everything should be fine. You may have to be more assertive. Cloudkicker walked over to Fluttershy, draped a wing over her back. Don't worry about the tornado. You got a good team. You got me watching your back. Everything's gonna work out fine.
I hope you're right.
It was somewhat relief to Fluttershy that the day's weather schedule didn't call for anything demanding. Though she didn't receive word of Ponyville's selection for this year's tornado duty. She had no reason to doubt Soren, and didn't want her team fatigued from anything too strenuous. If she was actually going to pull this off, she might well leave every flap of wing power she could get. Today, all she needed to do was set up some light showers over Ponyville's farms. Dizzy Twister and Parasol had been pleasant enough to work with. She hadn't said anything to them but the team's upcoming responsibility, preferring to wait until she heard from headquarters and could address every pony at the same time. With work done and plenty of daylight left, Fluttershy decided to make her way back by taking a walk through town. If she was lucky, she might have a chance to see Rarity and have a word with her. She landed near the entrance to the fields of the town's carrot farm. Right nearby was Sweet Apple Acres, which brought to her mind a recent trip to Manhattan to see Applejack. Valencia, Fluttershy corrected herself.
If I want to be your friend, you gotta stop thinking for us, Applejack.
Thoughts of that meeting, combined with the bright green and red fields of apple trees, reminded her of a budding friendship with a certain filly with an incredibly optimistic belief in Fluttershy's ability to be persuasive. Almost unconsciously, she began to pick up her step. Having to find her way back with bad news was one conversation she wasn't ready to.
Fluttershy! You're getting Mike!